And welcome to another action-packed, exciting hour of the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Rewatch Along Project. This is podcasting the way it used to be and the way you like it. This show is a production of the Something Else Podcasting Network, and it is episode number 158 of Smoky Mountain Wrestling from February 4th, 1995, taped January 28th, 1995, mostly from the Knoxville Coliseum in Knoxville, Tennessee. My name is Arya, and joining me as always is the teller to my pen. Welcome, Stevie J from the site formerly known as AngryMarks.com and currently known as MarksOfWrestling.com.
It's a little bit of a weird one because teller is usually silent. So if I was the teller to your pen, I wouldn't be saying anything right now.
To be fair, sometimes I don't shut up. So that could be a representation of the two of us. Maybe you're the Brian Alvarez to my Dave Meltzer, because Dave doesn't shut up once he gets going.
Oh yeah, I've been witness to that firsthand in the backseat of a cab, but I view it as a charming quality.
Yes. All right, so we have reached the beginning of February, meaning we only have 9 months to go, sadly. This is not the happy feeling of yesterday's show when we have 6 more of these fucking TNA pay-per-views to go. We have only 9 more months of Smoky Mountain to go. I'll go.
You know, we didn't even get the Smoky Mountain music. You put the music into this podcast, but we didn't even get the music at the beginning of this episode, so I felt cheated.
Hooray for a drop board. So yeah, for whatever reason, the file floating around in this week's episode, if I had to guesstimate, because I mean it was a 43-minute, 21-second file, so if I were to guesstimate, I'd say we missed like 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes at the beginning of the episode. So basically, we missed the music, we missed the intro at less, and him pitching to the opening match. The file starts right in the middle of the first match.
Right, which is exactly what I wrote in my notes. We start hot in the middle of the match. And I didn't even think that maybe that was because this was an episode where we didn't get the intro in the file. I thought they did that on purpose.
See, I thought that for a second, and I figured they don't ever do that, but, you know, they might be testing something out. So I waited until the end of the match, and no, this was just a missing couple minutes of the episode.
Sadly, you're right. But it was fun because it actually gave it a little bit of a different feel. Even though I missed the music, it was kind of nice to land right in the middle of Buddy Landell and Tracy Smothers. That was unexpected.
So this week, 95% of it is from Super Saturday Night Fever at the Knoxville Coliseum, which drew 2,000 people, if you believe the internet. And then
that's a staple of the ECW on TNN podcast. You can't use that here.
Well, this show technically started before that, so.
Fine, so we're ripping you off. I understand.
I'm ripping myself off because I'm doing it on both shows, and then you sit here and tell me that you believe the internet from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, more than you believe the modern day internet.
Look, when it comes to Smoky Mountain Wrestling, I'm not going to believe there are 3,000 people in a gymnasium in Knoxville or wherever else they might be. That one stretches even my credibility.
Well, to be fair, the Knoxville Civic Coliseum does hold 5,000 people. So, you know, when they do shows like the Super Bowl of Wrestling or Night of the Legends that do a legit 5,000, that's not bullshit. It's just, you know, they don't do that all the time.
It's funny you mentioned that because they keep shilling the Night of the Legends on VHS. And first of all, I would love to actually own a professionally produced and mastered Smoky Mountain Wrestling VHS tape like that, but I've never seen one anywhere. and I can't imagine they're a hot commodity. So either not a lot of copies were sold, or the few that are available that were sold probably go for way more than I'd want to spend. But the other thing is, since this is basically all of the highlights from Super Saturday Night Fever, they could have made a VHS tape out of this episode and sold it to us.
I mean, is eBay still a thing?
Yes. But I'm afraid to look because, like I said, I don't even want to know if it exists, how much it goes for. But you're tempting me to find out, so I'll give it my best shot. Let's see.
So,
Super
there
Saturday.
is a
You talk,
there's a
I'll look.
okay. So we're gonna jump right into the opening match: Tracy Smothers versus Buddy Landell in the number one contenders match. Now Les is doing commentary on most of this episode. JR is not coming to, Super Saturday Night Fever to do commentary for this show. Tracy somehow knew we were going to review this show 31 and a half years later, shortly after the death of Dory Funk Jr. So he paid tribute to Dory by breaking out the spinning toe hold. And it made me think about something that Trey had tweeted out a few weeks ago, that CM Punk, Stevie's favorite wrestler, CM Punk, did a spinning toe hold on a WWE live event, and people were confused because they thought he was going for the figure four. And in the interest of fairness, when was the last time anyone did a spinning toe hold on national television that was not a setup for the figure four? Like it's been a few decades, so I can understand the fans being a little confused by that at first.
I have good
Um,
news and bad news for you.
okay, great.
The good news is there are copies of Smoky Mountain Wrestling shows on eBay. The bad news is they're not the official licensed by Smoky Mountain Wrestling videos. They are DVDs that people have burned and sold themselves. But, if you want a vintage 1994 Smoky Mountain Wrestling ticket from Night of the Legends, you can have it for only $499 plus $10.75 delivery.
Well, it costs a lot to put a ticket stub in an envelope and stamp on it. Um, so, but actually, because I did see, maybe you just didn't see this, there was a Night of the Legends DVD because they did, when they did the Wrestling Gold stuff in the mid 2000s. That was one of the things they did do as well was, a DVD release of the Night of the Legends. So
Oh, you mean
there is
those
one.
like 99-cent bargain bin DVDs you'd find in the checkout aisle at Walmart?
I don't think it was 99 cents. I think it was like you got like a 5 pack of classic DVDs with matches commentated by Jim Cornette and Dave Meltzer back in the day when they were friends. But yeah,
Hmm.
there are legitimate Smoky Mountain Night of the Legend DVDs out there.
Well, I'm pretty sure the random episodes that they're selling, like 522 in 1992, Dirty White Boy Buddy Landell for $8, is not a real Smoky Mountain Wrestling DVD.
No, it's not. They did sell like VHS tapes back in the day of the episodes, but it's like these are probably the same rips I get off XWT. So save your
I
money,
would
kid.
yeah, don't buy these, please.
So Buddy grabbed an international object out of his tights, but dropped it. Tracy picked it up and fought with Mark Curtis over it. While that was happening, Landell grabbed a chain that he had put in the ring apron, I guess, and KO'd Tracy with it for the win. So Buddy Landell is your number one contender to the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight title, kind of.
Kind of,
From
sort
what
of.
we saw, it was a fun match.
Yeah, I mean, we missed a few seconds of it here or there, but everything that followed what we missed was great. I have no complaints.
Indeed. So from there, we go to the Motown Rumble from Morristown, Tennessee. I didn't look up what day this was. I think it was the day before Super Saturday Night Fever. But Tommy Noe is doing commentary, and it comes down to Tracy Smothers and the Gangstas. Tracy dumps Mustafa and then New Jack to win the match. After the match, the Gangstas attack Tracy. Scott Armstrong, who is not even supposed to be here tonight, made the save. If he wasn't supposed to be here, then why was he here? You know?
Maybe because he watched too many episodes of Clerks, the animated series, and heard Dante say, "I'm not even supposed to be here," so he decided to actually be there.
And then D'Lo ran in for immoral support.
Yeah,
Uh,
this was a decidedly one-sided ass beating, with Armstrong being the one whose ass was beat.
this also isn't the only Royal Rumble we see on this week's episode, now that I think about it.
No, it's not.
Yeah. And you thought that, remember that episode of Impact? It did four Royal Rumbles in one show?
Are we counting the reverse battle royal as one of the four,
No,
or is that a
no,
different
no,
episode?
no. That was a different episode. They did four Royal Rumbles on one show of Impact one time.
I've tried to forget that because the reverse battle royal that ended in an elimination over the top was bad enough as it was.
They did it twice. And
Oh
that's not
man,
even
I
counting that's not even counting when they had the women do a reverse cage match.
see. I There are parts of the history of TNA from the 2000s that I have like selective amnesia for. Like I just blacked them out of my memory and try not to relive them.
I said an entire season of Dark Side of the Ring can just be the history of TNA. They have more than enough stuff that they could go off of.
Which is why it's
Uh,
funny that that three-part episode was all about Jeff Jarrett, because Jeff Jarrett, in the grand scheme of things, is such a small part of the TNA story.
which the funny thing is, like, I guess ultimately it really wasn't the story of TNA. It was a story of Jeff Jarrett and how he relates to TNA more than anything else. Because like they
Hmm.
basically skipped everything after he left.
Right.
'Cause it was like
It's
Jeff
more
Jarrett,
about how he's struggled with alcoholism, how he struggled with his
yeah,
wife dying, how he struggled with everything, and somehow came out the other side smiling.
how his dad brought Vladimir Kozlov to WWE. Ultimately, at the end of the day, like I know that was the what drove the wedge between the two of them. I think Jeff sent Jerry a thank you card every year for that one.
Yeah, I don't think they wanted Kozlov in TNA. That would not have been a good fit.
I don't know where Kozlov is a good fit to, but I don't know.
Fair point. And speaking of good fits, we do have Les Thatcher interviewing the Gangstas after the footage we saw, and I'm sure you've got that on
Yeah.
the soundboard.
I well, it's not on the soundboard, it's on the file, but yes, let's go to Les Thatcher talking to the Gangstas and D'Lo Brown, kind of.
We're here with the gangsters, and New Jack, not only do you have the heavenly bodies breathing down your neck, but it appears now that the new Southern boys, Tracy Smothers and Scott Armstrong, are hot on your trail, too.
Do I look scared? Scott Armstrong, leg snapped. Steve Armstrong, leg snapped. Jim Cornette, leg snapped 2 times. And even now, if you put your old daddy, Bob Bullyhead Armstrong, in there, snap. I don't care who you put in the ring with us, because we on a mission. The redneck Armstrong, Tracy Smothers, you want to be the illegitimate reject son, and you want to fill in. Well, you come on. You bring your rebel flag. You remember what the North did to the South the last time. Well, son, we'll do it again. You bring your flag, we'll bring ours. We'll show you which egg is more powerful. We'll show you why the gangsters are as bad as they are. I don't care who Jim Cornette go and get. I don't care if Bob Armstrong go down to Georgia and pull up another redneck. You bring them on. I'm going to show you, son, that the gangsters here for one thing. We trying to put Smoky Mountains. We trying to put the Armstrongs and Cornette. You going down.
Well, this certainly won't be settled soon. Fans, we'll be right back.
So just in case you thought New Jack, his heat might be waning a little bit, like how long can you just be angry at him for being black kind of thing? You know, suddenly he says, remember what the North did to the South the last time. They may lynch him soon.
Oh, and on an unrelated note, I just found a replica Smoky Mountain Wrestling World Heavyweight Title belt, which can be yours for $329.
It actually is a really nice belt. I was thinking of that during the promo we're going to talk about later on.
Hmm.
But Yeah, again, like when we say Rock and Roll Express promo, we only mean Ricky Morton. When we say Gangstas promo, no matter how many people are standing out there, it is New Jack, and that's a good thing. But
Yeah, because
Jack
all
and Allison
Mustafa
snap
is
every.
going to do is go.
I legitimately don't remember Mustafa ever cutting a promo, and that includes when remember that run he had in ECW as a heel in like 1999. He came back to feud with New Jack over who the real gangsta was. I don't remember him
Yeah,
cutting a promo then either.
I have zero memory of it myself, so it either didn't happen or we're practicing that selective amnesia again about it.
Yep. So it's important to remember as we get this, we go through the show, that he primarily cuts this promo on the new Southern Boys because hey, the Heavenly Bodies were only supposed to be here for 1 day and 1 day only. So he's cutting this promo about the new Southern Boys and breaking the leg of Steve and Scott and Bob. And if Tracy wants to pretend to be a brother, he'll snap his leg too. And, you know,
I realize
it,
this is supposed to be a heel promo for this audience that it's directed at, but when he said, "You bring your flag, we'll bring ours," I'm like, damn right, New Jack. Let's see them try that Confederate flag shit with you. It won't work. I'm guaranteeing it.
all right. So after that, we're going to Les Thatcher, who's now with Chris Candido, to talk about Chris Candido's next match against Boo Bradley coming up at the end of February.
Chris Candido. And Chris, it seems that Boo Bradley is a bit upset about the dog food dinner you served him because not only do you have a loser each dog food match upcoming, but on Sunday, Bloody Sunday 2, it's a dog collar chain match. The two of you be chained together with dog collars.
Is Smoky Mountain Wrestling trying to kill me? Are they trying to murder me? Boo Bradley, not only is that dog food match, that's an embarrassment, but I can live with that. But now they're trying to kill me neck to neck. That big dog collar on that big, great, fat, smelly neck of yours, and a chain going up my neck. You can kill me. You can wrap it around my neck, throw me over that rope, and hang me till my face turns all different colors, and I blow up all over Knoxville Coliseum. But Boo Bradley, let me tell you something. Everything you know, I taught you, so I know those few little things are up there running around that minute little brain of yours and that great big fat head. So, bro, I'm going to take you right there in Knoxville. I'm going to beat you down, and I'm going to drag you all around that whole ring. Then I'm going to drag you down Interstate 40, up Interstate 81, and right back to my backyard right there in New Jersey, wherever you belong. Tie you around that tree where you can live out the rest of your lousy, miserable days as I come out every morning to get my paper, and I kick you right in the big fat head. Boo Bradley, Sunday, Bloody Sunday, I'm finishing you off for good.
Chris Candido, one upset gentleman, will be back shortly with action, the Gangsters, and the Heavenly Bodies.
So we've mentioned before, Candido's been here almost 2 years. It is time for him to go. At the same time, I am really going to miss him when he goes.
His promos are the most unhinged, other than Eddie Gilbert, who is already gone, sadly. So I will miss him too, because the amount of intensity he puts into everything he says and does is bar none at the top of the list. Like, Buddy Landell gets riled up, but not nearly to the level of Chris Candido. And God bless Les Thatcher too for giving his absolute most calm, most distinguished one upset gentleman. We'll be right back. Like, yes, Les, I love you. Thank you.
Chris Candido, poor Chris Candido for a number of reasons. But if he was 6 or 7 inches taller, he would have been world champion in the mid 90s.
Yeah. His future, if he had been the shape and size that matched his personality and his wrestling talent, he would have been at the top of WWF or WCW. But sadly, that's not the case.
Or if he would have decked Shawn Michaels when Shawn was sleeping with Sonny behind his back and everyone knew it. He may have also gotten something there. Although I guess the Harrises didn't get anywhere out of kicking Shawn's ass either, so who knows?
Did Nails get anything out of kicking Vince McMahon's ass? No, I don't think he did.
Well, Nails didn't beat up Shawn Michaels, he beat up Vince McMahon. You can't beat up the boss.
Debatable. But I just wish there was a fly on the wall with a camera for that meeting. I mean, we've seen like alleged recreations of the event, but I would like to see what really went down between the two of them.
Get more money for SummerSlam. Oh, no, it's because you talk like a child. Ha ha ha. I think that's unfair. I could use more than $2,000 to change my voice. Sorry, that's it. That's the end
Okay.
of my impression of Nails and Vince McMahon having a conversation over his SummerSlam pay.
It might actually be quite a bit like Chris Candido having a conversation with Shawn Michaels about Sunny. I'm sure there's some stark similarities there.
Oh Lord. Oh, by the way, I told you to remind me. I was going to say it on the ECW show last week, but I forgot to. I discovered how Alex Shelley and Ethan Page are related in kayfabe.
Okay,
So,
let's hear it.
so on the TNA show, Alex Shelley just debuted as Baby Bear with Goldilocks. So if he is Baby Bear, and that makes Abyss Papa Bear, so he'd be the son of Abyss. And then, fast forward many years later, Abyss's brother Joseph Park debuted his son Chandler Park, who was Ethan Page. And so if Alex Shelley's the son of Abyss and Ethan Page is the son of Joseph Park, then that means that Alex Shelley and Ethan Page are cousins.
Yeah, I suppose that's how that would work. But all I could think of when you said Baby Bear Alex Shelley is one, Michelle does a great impression of Goldilocks because she remembers TNA from way back then when we were watching it together. And she does the whole, I don't want your money, I want your contract. She does a great Goldilocks, way better than I do. And the other thing that's funny about that is I met Alex Shelley at an independent wrestling show in this area right around that same time. And I took a picture with him and I complimented him on his work in Ring of Honor. And he said, thank you. I said, and in TNA. And he kind of looked at me and gave me a smirk like, no.
Yeah, yeah. Ah. By the way, their uncle is Judas Macias, and the
Quite the
grandfather,
family. Go on.
grandfather
Go
Jim
on.
Mitchell. So
That is quite the family tree.
yes, it is. And they're all about the same age, except I guess Ethan Page is probably a bit younger than the rest of them.
Yeah.
So by the way, just a reminder, it's news, it's fun, it's 1-973 Smoky. And since JR wasn't on the show this week, we didn't get a hotline question. But we go back to Knoxville for the Gangsters versus the Heavenly Bodies from Super Saturday Night Fever. Now, I assumed this was a street fight or some degree of a no disqualification match because, including D'Lo and Cornette, there were weapons galore. They had plunder coming out their asses in this. They had boards. Cornette was hitting everyone with their rackets. And it's like it was just a four-way brawl all around the arena. And let's see here. Just reading all of my notes here. There's nothing really to talk about. Jimmy Del Rey missed the Poonsault. I am curious how long this match lasted in real life because we had a ton of cuts and fast forwards in this match. Heavenly Bodies hit the death sentence on New Jack. D'Lo attacks Jimmy Del Rey. Jim Cornette runs in, ... for the disqualification. What the
No,
fuck?
that's not what they said. Les Thatcher actually said it was a no contest.
Yes, they eventually say it's a no contest, but they had all that crap during the match with boards and plunder and, outside the ring fighting. And the match was just being thrown out at the end.
Well, in fairness, everything was thrown out at the end because they went out of view of the cameras underneath the bleachers So then we had to get an explanation in post that there was a camera in the locker room and somebody with this fan cam decided to follow the Gangstas through the backstage area and out onto the street. So we got two completely different sets of footage.
But yes, stooge in the locker room, probably Sean Stasiak, who I know wasn't even in wrestling at this point, but had a camera, and he hears a commotion out to the locker room, and he pulls out his camera and goes running out there. I don't know what else was on that camera footage in addition to this. If he hears a commotion and goes running out with a camera, but
yeah, that would have been an interesting tape to end up on our video or something. The complete uncut backstage Smoky Mountain Wrestling footage. Like, what did we not get to see? Because we saw everything.
So the Gangstas and the Heavenly Bodies fight into the streets, and eventually the Gangstas run away down the street. And one of the things I did like about this was that you could hear Brian Matthews introducing the next match. So, maybe they did that in post, but something, I doubt it. I think this was, one real shot after the match that he just kept going backstage.
Mm-hmm. And what I liked about it was that when Jim Cornette was swinging his racket at the Gangstas, you could hear a loud and audible slap every time he hit them with it. I guess you can't pull your punches when you're swinging a racket, but I hope New Jack and D'Lo and Mustafa all agreed to that beforehand, because I'm sure that had to hurt.
Sure. Well, this is like, you're in a program with Cornette. You're going to get hit with the racket once or twice. But it's also
this was
not
more
like
than once or twice. This was more like every time he got knocked down and got back up, he swung the racket as hard as he could.
Well, I'm going to bet, and I don't know this for a fact, but I'm going to bet New Jack and Mustafa got their receipts.
You think? I bet they did.
All right. So from here, we go to a little bit of a lengthy promo with Jim Cornette and the Heavenly Bodies, who are with Les Thatcher. Let's go to that now.
With me, the Heavenly Bodies and Jim Cornette. And Jim, that was nothing short of the street fight that the Gangsters say they're expert in.
Well, you see, it took the Heavenly Bodies coming back to Smoky Mountain Wrestling to give the Gangsters a little taste of their own medicine. You see, they'd been running roughshod all right over a lot of teams, but it was over a lot of teams that didn't know how to cheat, didn't know how to be dirty, didn't know how to be nasty, didn't mind pulling up a piece of furniture or going outside the rules. But then when they faced the Heavenly Bodies, they found out real quick that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I could come out here and I could say something like, the Gangsters are so black, lightning bugs follow them around in the daytime. Yeah. But New Jack would accuse me of being a racist. Or I could say, for example, that, New Jack got arrested for trying to blow up a car, but he burned his lips on a tailpipe. But New Jack would accuse me of being a racist. Or I could say, what do you say to a gangster in a three-piece suit? Will the defendant please rise? But the New Jack would accuse me of being a racist. But if I also said that the Gangsters didn't deserve to be the Smoky Mountain Tag Team Champions when they possessed those belts, then the Gangsters would accuse me of being a racist. If I said that the Gangsters don't take responsibility for their own actions and culpability when things go wrong, they'd accuse me of being a racist. In short, that's New Jack's card. It don't have anything to do with race. A lot of people think it does because he's got them buffaloed. A lot of people get uproar when you hear the words white and black, but the simple fact of the matter boils down. New Jack is the kind of guy who doesn't care about his people, like I've said before, only wants to make $1 off of it, only wants to get some notoriety off of it. There's a certain segment of the society in America today that doesn't want to take responsibility for their actions. Now, when they do something good, it's all them. But when something bad happens, like they lose a belt, discrimination. Or something bad happens, they lose a match, oh, they're all against us. Or something bad happens, like they get their brains beat out at the hands of the Heavenly Bodies, oh, it's discrimination, all the people are against us. Well, I got news for you, New Jack. I've talked to some people. I've talked to some people around Smoky Mountain Wrestling, white and black and indifferent. And you know what? They all tell me they're against you for one simple reason. You're an embarrassment to your people, you're a loudmouth jerk, and you're a troublemaker. Well, right here's some troublemakers that can give you a taste of your own medicine. And I guarantee you this, the doubleheader weekend is coming up, and we got 2 matches that we know are going to put an end to the myth of the Gangstas once and for all.
Johnson City, February 25th, it's a Smoky Mountain street fight. That's the match that these men made famous. Ask the Fantastics, the Rock and Roll Express, going back to the early days of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. The Heavenly Bodies have never lost a Smoky Mountain street fight. And we got a few tricks up our sleeve for that one. The Brawl in the Hall in Johnson City. And then, Sunday, Bloody Sunday, too. Kind of a special day in my heart because it's going to be in Knoxville, February 26th. Six-man tag, the Gangstas and D'Lo Brown against the Heavenly Bodies and Jim Cornette. That's right. I'm going to get back in the ring. Me, a guy who's never whipped anybody in his life, a guy who has been beaten by women, a couple of midgets, and every man that I've ever stepped foot in a wrestling ring with. But I'm going to get in the ring with the Gangstas. And the Gangstas say I'm crazy, and they laugh, and they joke, and they carry on. But they don't know what I know. They don't know what the Heavenly Bodies know. And if they did, they wouldn't be smiling and they wouldn't be laughing. They'd be running and peeping and hiding. And Gangstas, you're going to find out just exactly what the trick up our sleeve is for that six-man in Knoxville, Tennessee, but you're not going to find out until it's too late. I'm not an idiot. Believe me, I ain't getting in over my head because I got a trump card to play, and the Heavenly Bodies and Jim Cornette are coming to get some revenge. I'm going to get revenge for a scar on my head. I'm going to get revenge for that arthritis in my knee, and I'm going to get revenge for everybody that you railroaded and roughshotted since you've been in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, because we're not only going to beat you, brother, Sunday, Bloody Sunday in Knoxville, we're going to humiliate you.
So, spoiler alert, Jim Cornette is really good at cutting promos.
No shit. I mean, this entire episode could have just been Jim Cornette cutting a promo. I feel like he could have filled up the whole show all by himself.
Oh, I'm sure that could happen if he wanted to. I will say, when this ended, I was really confused because we mentioned earlier the Gangstas are talking about their match with the new Southern Boys, while Jim Cornette is here saying, "You're wrestling us on Saturday and Sunday." And I'm like, so when the hell are they wrestling the new Southern Boys? And we find out later, but yeah. And apparently they're going to have some kind of advantage that they will tell us at match time.
And that was a really strange thing for me because he says, I've got a trump card to play. And I realized that phrase doesn't mean back then what it means in 2026. But there was a part of this promo where I definitely felt like Jim was talking about 45-47 because he said, whenever something good happens, you want to take all the credit. But whenever something bad happens, you're nowhere to be found. I'm like, wow, if that isn't a prescient statement.
Yeah. I mean, in many ways, this was also like a best of Jim Cornette promo. He said he's made a lot of these points already. New Jack, doesn't really care about his people. He only uses them for when he's being oppressed. He didn't care about his people when he was the tag team champions. But as soon as they lose the belts, then it's, we're being oppressed because we're black, and et cetera, et cetera. And it really also shows you, I don't want to say how easy it is to manipulate the audience, but Jim Cornette is putting himself in a match with 5 other wrestlers. And so we're supposed to believe that, he's on the same level as D'Lo Brown, who we've seen have matches on this show, and he has won those matches. So Jim Cornette feels he's at the level of D'Lo Brown, or that he feels like he's just put his team in a 3-on-2 handicap match, and they're the baby faces.
Well, I presume when he says he's got a trump card to play that there's another wrestler involved.
But even then, that ends up actually worse because, again, they're the baby faces. They should not be cheating to get the advantage. And lying
Except
about
that
the
was
third
Jim
member of the
Cornette's
team.
point, though. He said they finally came up against the team who isn't afraid to get dirty and cheat and be violent. So that's exactly what he's going for. It's like, you want to play dirty, we'll play dirtier. You think you're low down, we're even lower.
And here's the other thing. I'm genuinely curious what the Smoky Mountain fans think about the Heavenly Bodies at this point. Because, they were the team in Smoky Mountain for 2 years. They left last April and became full-time WWF wrestlers, where they are a step above jobbers. They lose to any team with a push gets to defeat the Heavenly Bodies. And now here they're returning as triumphant heroes. And they're treated like this ultimate badass team that, man, we're bringing them in one time only. And now they're going to have a Smoky Mountain street fight, which is their match. They always win the Smoky Mountain street fights. So yeah, I'm genuinely curious how the crowds actually feel about, the jobber team from the WWF coming in to kick everyone's ass.
I'm going to generously assume they don't feel any way about it other than, hey, these guys that we knew are back and we're happy that they're back. They're not looking at them like, oh, these are the jobbers from WWF. They're looking at them like, yeah, these are our homegrown superstars. Hooray.
These are our 5-time tag team champions.
Exactly.
I was going to make a comparison, but it was going to be a really, really bad one because at least the Heavenly Bodies, they kept their gimmick but made it PG. Like I was about to say, it's like when OVW had Nick Dinsmore and he left and became Eugene. He could not come back to OVW as Nick Dinsmore again.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would give a weirder example if it was up to me. I would talk about Shane Douglas going to WWF to be Dean Douglas and then coming back as Shane Douglas.
True, but it's ECW, it's smart fans, so they know that he didn't fail because he sucked. He failed because, 4 or 5 people who are all in Vince's ear, buried the hell out of him.
Yeah, that's probably about the beginning and the end of it. But man, they could do a Dark Side of the Ring about Shane Douglas, and that would be a lot of fun.
It would be, because, he's had his own problems too. It's not like, it's just, oh, the Click sucks.
Exactly.
So we get a replay of Unabomb in last week's Rumble, and notably they cut off before Ricky Moore and Eddie Gilbert come in. I'd like to believe that we know the reason for that. And then they show us the K-Town Rumble at Super Saturday Night Fever, at least the finish of it. Unabomb threw out some jobbers. On the other side of the ring, Ricky Morton tossed Jerry Lawler and then drop-kicked Unabomb out of the ring to win. Unabomb was not happy about this, so he gave Morton the Unabomb and then used, and I quote, something on Morton, quote, less. Lawler did not want Mark Curtis to help. So this was a weird part. And I guess this is what Eddie Gilbert was supposed to be doing, but Eddie wasn't there. So Jerry Lawler, to prevent Mark Curtis from stopping him, he trips up Mark Curtis and crotches him against the ring post.
And then hangs on to both legs so he can't move.
Yeah. And then Robert Gibson eventually made the save. Now, it turns out, and I'm sure they'll explain this to us on the shows in the next couple weeks, but that was sandpaper that was being used to mess with Morton's face. Because what was supposed to happen was Eddie Gilbert was supposed to throw a fireball at Ricky Morton on this show. Because I guess they've taped stuff already with Morton having a roughed up face, and it was supposed to be a fireball. And so since Morton's not there, and I'm assuming they're not going to trust Unabomb, who is still extremely new to the business, to do that. So they did the sandpaper gimmick instead. And I guess Eddie Gilbert had left a message for Jim Cornette on his voicemail saying he was going to be at the show. And then he left him a phone number in Puerto Rico to reach him. And of course, when Cornette called it back, the phone number was disconnected. Eddie Gilbert's parents apparently had no idea where he was. And yeah, so I'm pretty sure Eddie Gilbert's on next week's show, because next week's show was taped as the final taping of the last set of tapings. But that's it for Eddie Gilbert and Smoky Mountain.
It's going to be weird if he is, because Unabomb basically cut a promo that said he has a world of darkness. He's going to take anybody that wants to dare challenge him to. And if his partner can't keep up with him, that's too damn bad. It kind of sounded like he was throwing Eddie Gilbert under the bus.
Well, I mean, he was, but we haven't even gotten to that promo yet, because that's next.
All right.
Let's go first to Ricky Morton, and then Unabomb is going to have some stuff to say.
The big Coliseum just minutes after the big K-Town Rumble. And Ricky Morton, I want to say to you that very fast, this big, awesome Unabomb is becoming the most out of control and dangerous monster I've seen here in Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and certainly your face does attest to that.
Well, Les, you know, I thought Eddie Gilbert was bad. You know, he come into Smoky Mountain, he always wants to be the center of attention. Even back before Robert and I, Eddie Gilbert and I were partners, he always wanted to be the center of attention, but he found out it's not going to happen that way here in Smoky Mountain. So he's running here crazy. You don't know what he's going to do. But now he sends this big Unabomb after us. And everybody see what he done to my face. But I'm not out here trying to cry over spilt milk. The one thing, in fact, what I'm trying to tell you is, you remember the story of David and Goliath?
Sure do.
Well, that's one thing's going to happen, because you got to understand one thing, Unabomb. It don't matter who you bring to the ring, but when 465 pounds hit you upside the head, you're going down flat on the mat. And no matter how big you are, when you're laying flat on your back in the middle of the ring, you're no taller than this right here. So guys, you bring it right on, because everybody here knows what the Rock and Roll Express stands for. They know what we're all about. And Unabomb, you're soon to find out.
Ricky Morton thought he was a pretty boy. You thought you were real cute, costing me $10,000. Well, Ricky Morton, this is your invitation to my world, a world of ugliness and a world of darkness. Any partner that can't keep up with me, that's just too bad. I'll leave him behind, because no one beats Unabomb, not even the Rock and Roll Express.
You know, this Unabomb guy, there might be something to this guy here.
It's funny you mentioned that. I get really eerie, familiar feelings listening to him talk.
Which is funny, 'cause, like, it's obviously Kane, but it's like he's not Kane at this point, and he hasn't yet found that inside of him, like that promo style of him yet. So he just sounds like Glenn Jacobs talking in a menacing manner. Which, I mean, is
Yeah,
what he is.
it's like the mayor of Knox County is telling us what he's going to do.
Yes. But yeah, he's gonna have a new partner. We're gonna find out his new partner in a couple weeks. Yeah, Eddie Gilbert. It sucks things turned out the way they did, you know. And
Yes, and that really is a dark side of the ring, and a very tragic one.
it was. And it was a good episode too. I still haven't watched the Renegade episode from last week. Did you see it yet?
Yes, I watched it in full, and it can't really hold up to the Big Boss Man one. That one was a lot more sad. This one is sad in a different way. It's not sad for the man we lost. It's sad for, wow, they sent this guy totally green and unprepared into the main event spotlight, and then shoot him up and spit him out. That's what's sad about it. Not what he left behind, but what they did to him.
Because he had a vague resemblance to the Ultimate Warrior, and Hogan was obsessed with getting his win back.
Mhm.
And I guess Arn had some choice words to say about him, because I saw that on Twitter all week. So I got to rewrite my Arn Anderson Renegade match write up. But that was the
One
match,
of
and
the
I'm sure they told the story. But that was the match where Hogan went in and wanted to go 30 seconds. And Flair, in his last night as Booker, said if he can't go more than 30 seconds, he doesn't deserve to be the champion. And so it went 8 minutes. The match sucked through no fault of Arn. Arn did his best to carry the guy. And then at the end, Flair and Bischoff had an argument about it. And Flair basically said the same thing, where it's like, if he could only go 30 seconds, he didn't deserve to be in the ring.
Yeah, the telling parts are both Arn watching the match back and going, God, that sucked. Like, you feel for the guy rewatching the footage, because you know he's embarrassed by it. And then Joe Gomez, tag team jobber to the stars, who was also Renegade's partner for a while, says of his partner, and I quote, "If you can't get a good match with Arn Anderson, you're hopeless." That's his own partner talking about him.
I like that they found Joe Gomez to interview.
Unintentionally the star of this episode. Joe is great. Every time he's on the screen, he's great.
That's great. I look forward to that. And hey, people are going to find this controversial. I forget where I said this, and I said it to you on a prior show. The Giant was not brought in to be a star. The Giant was brought in because Hogan was recreating everything. And since he had Earthquake, he had Kamala in there now. He had his fake Ultimate Warrior. Now he needed Andre. And, well, Andre wasn't coming in 1995. So he got somebody who kind of looked like Andre to play Andre's son. And it just turned out that Paul White became a giant star. But that's not why he was brought in.
Yeah, he's like the fortunate one out of the whole bunch that things didn't go the way they went with Renegade. Like he had natural talent, charisma, athletic ability, and size combined together that no matter what stupid idea they came up with, he was going to triumph no matter what.
And his fucking like, by the way, the Giants had like one match in his life before WCW. So the second match of his career is a pay-per-view main event with Hulk Hogan. Like, say
Yeah.
what you want about Hulk Hogan, it is preposterous that somebody who's had one match in his life would have a pay-per-view main event in 1995 with Hulk Hogan in his second ever match. And it worked. Like, that's the thing. Like, it wasn't just that, well, they put in the Renegade, like the Renegade would have been the shits. Like, no, they put in somebody with one match and it worked somehow.
And the bad part is that he actually had matches before coming to WCW as Rio, Lord of the Jungle. And in one of the weirdest moments of the episode, we see the real Ultimate Warrior coming out to meet Rio, Lord of the Jungle, and proclaiming that the warrior spirit runs through him. This is real footage that exists.
Well, I didn't see that. I look forward to that. But to just give you an idea of how bad Renegade was, in case you didn't see it either, he did a WWF tryout match in 1993 when Vince McMahon was dying to find somebody with a body to put on his shows. Renegade, who had a pretty good body, he wasn't Tom McGee, but he had a pretty good body, and he was so much the shits that Vince could not put him on the shows.
Yeah, and his stripper best friend from the dance scene, the Chippendales dance scene that Rick Wilson was part of, said Rio's gimmick was 6 foot floor and hung to the floor. And that's pretty much all you can say about Rick Wilson. God bless the dead. But he was built like a brick shithouse and couldn't wrestle a lick. And then once his push ended, he was no longer built like a brick shithouse.
I'm sure he was a very nice man.
According to his ex-wife, he was a sweet man, but she didn't like what the wrestling business turned him into. Surprise, surprise.
So back to Smoky Mountain, we did go to the Jerry Lawler Dirty White Boy situation. But before we even did that, Les went ahead and spoiled it for us. Les informs us that we have a new Smoky Mountain champion. It is Jerry the King Lawler. So we had to go back and watch the conclusion of the match. So White Boy hit the Buck Snort Blaster when Buddy Landell, who remember was the timekeeper, began ringing the bell because we've gone to the 60-minute time limit, even though they'd been doing the every 5-minute time calls and they had just done a 15-minute time call. So that's kind of funny. But then they fire Buddy as a timekeeper. If you could just
Yeah,
fire
Mark
the
Curtis,
timekeeper,
referee Mark Curtis actually signals, get him the hell out of here, throw him out.
if you could just fire him as a timekeeper, then why did you even let him come out at all?
Yeah, these are not answerable questions.
So the match restarts. Curtis gets bumped. Landell gets in and gives White Boy a pile driver. He pulls Lawler on top and rolls Curtis in. And I'll be honest, because like enough time had passed, I'm like, okay, Landell's gonna kick out and they'll do something else for the finish. Or White Boy's gonna kick out and they'll do something else for the finish. But no, the referee counted 3, and Jerry Lawler won the Smoky Mountain title from Dirty White Boy.
That is exactly what happened. And you'll probably play the entire promo knowing that you have it on the file. But it is kind of funny how he points out the title was basically made for him.
Yes. I always noticed the crown there, but never really, struck me as anything until this promo we're about to hear in a minute. But from here, this immediately segues into the Lights Out match with White Boy and Buddy Landell. Now, in 2026, if I tell you that they're going to have a lights out match, like, fuck, if AEW announces we're going to have a lights out match, that's basically them having combat zone wrestling. That's where we're getting the hypodermic needles and we're getting like every bit of insanity that you can think of in a match. Now, I was not expecting the hypodermic needles or thumbtacks or anything like that, but I think, and I think the fans thought too, we're going to get some plunder, you know, especially when we had that Gangstas. Actually, the Gangstas Heavenly Bodies match hadn't happened yet. That was next because the Rumble was the last match, and that followed the Gangstas Heavenly Bodies. So I'm assuming the fans were like me and were expecting some plunder, and nothing like of the sort happened. Buddy Landell just beat on White Boy and beat on White Boy and beat on White Boy, and then White Boy crucifixed him and pinned him, 1, 2, 3, and then Buddy beat him up some more and then walked out.
Gave him a DDT and then walked out.
Yeah. And I guess this was so, you know, because like they're not going away from White Boy versus Lawler, so they still want to keep White Boy strong in the title picture. And so I guess technically he just beat the #1 contender, but this was overthinking. And I'll be honest with you, I love Jim Cornette's booking for the most part. This past month has not been the best.
Yeah, this was a little convoluted and didn't really need to go down the way that it went down. And the only other explanation for the lights out match not having plunder is the fact that you said that the Gangstas and the Heavenly Bodies followed this match. So they probably thought we can't have a bunch of plunder when the Gangsters and the Heavenly Bodies and Jim Cornette are going to have a bunch of plunder, or else we're going to burn out the audience. So we got to save it for later.
I mean, that makes sense, but like that match was not a street fight, and this match was a lights out match. So if you're just a random fan in your mind, because they don't really tell you anything really about the lights out match, in your mind, what's the difference between a regular match and a lights out match? Because there was nothing in the lights out match that was anything different than anything else on the show.
And historically, what a lights out match was supposed to mean was this is a match after the regular show where we are indemnified from whatever happens because we're not responsible for it.
Yes. And it was the tamest match we saw on the show.
Yeah. So it really didn't work. I'm sorry, it just didn't.
And I'll be honest, I'm currently blanking on whatever just recently happened, but Smoky Mountain's been doing a lot of these iffy type of finishes at the Knoxville Coliseum, and you know you don't want to screw the fans over too many times.
Yeah, because then they're going to stop coming to the show because they're going to think everything is a fuck finish, which is why Paul Heyman was so adamant that no matter what goes on, the match continues because he didn't want to fuck the fans.
Yep. All right, well, let's go to a Jerry Lawler promo. It segues into a Buddy Landell promo, but I'm going to stop after the Lawler promo and talk about that first. Let's go to Les with the new champion of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, Jerry The King Lawler.
The new Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Wrestling Champion, Jerry The King Lawler. And Jerry, in all sincerity.
Wait a minute. First of all, I don't like the tone of your voice. I can see what's coming. If you want to, why don't we just start this over? Because you need to somehow let it come across to the fans out there what a pleasure it is for you to be able to stand next to me, the new Smoky Mountains champion, and just to pal around with me.
Well,
so
it probably is true, but now
sincere.
that you've done that for me, let me carry on and pick it up from there and ask you, can you sincerely tell me that you think you deserve this belt in the manner in which you received it? Do you really feel that you are the heavyweight champion?
I cannot believe that you call yourself, what is your official title here?
Probably don't have one, but I'm sure you'll come up with one.
Well, certainly, I mean, probably a lot of people think that you're the MC of this show or whatever, but MC doesn't stand for mental case, except maybe in your situation. That's right. Now, anybody with any brains at all would realize that this is the first time in this entire area that you have had a champion that you can actually be proud of, somebody that you can look up to,
somebody that you can go out and tell your grandkids this afternoon that you had the privilege and the honor of standing next to Jerry the King Lawler as he was holding the Smoky Mountains Championship belt. Look at it. Can you get a tight shot of this belt? Can you see this? Put your bifocals on. Look at this. What is that right there?
Those are...
No. With this right
That is
here.
a crown.
Say no more. I mean, if this belt was made for me. It's got a crown on it. I got a crown on. I am the king. You understand that? And yes, I deserve this belt. Yes, I am the champion. And like I said, a champion that you children have, that your parents can tell your little kids, look, eat your vegetables, eat that spinach, eat that slop we put on the table. Maybe, if you're lucky, you'll grow up and be like Jerry the King Lawler. Now, I am sick of people like you and people like the dirty white boy running around trying to insinuate that I am not deserving of this. As I said, this is the first time you've ever had a truly deserving champion. Now, I want you to cut that out. You understand me?
Well, you haven't answered my question. Do you really feel that you deserve this belt?
Hello? Anybody home in there? What's wrong?
You had assistance in winning this title.
Assistance?
And do you feel that you can stand up, put that belt around your waist, and say, I am the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Champion?
Look, let me just tell you one thing right now. Just a little tip, okay? I'm sure everybody out there, even those morons watching this right now on their black and white television sets, realize this. When you're talking, hold the microphone that way. When I'm talking, hold it over here, okay? Little tip, just trying to help you. And another thing I'm going to do for these idiots here in Knoxville, or wherever the Rocksville, whatever this is, I want you to know that everybody in the rest of Tennessee is ashamed of this area. And I am going to take it upon myself to each week, I'm going to come on here and maybe give a little, like a health or a personal hygiene tip, to try to bring you people up to standards, so to speak, okay? Try to make you people be sort of like we are over in Memphis. You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about literate. I'm talking about being able to conduct yourself like ladies and gentlemen. I'll do that as a personal favor because I am your champion, a champion that now you can be proud of.
With me, Nature Boy Buddy Landell. And
So, I like Lawler's promos. I don't know how much I'm going to like him as champion, although, spoiler alert, it's not a very long title reign. But I like it. I like it so far. It's different than what we've had on this show before. I will say it's obvious he's never watched a show before because he's coming in and want to do the Andy Kaufman thing where he's going to tell us how to use soap and shower. Tammy Fitch already did that. And with all due love and respect to Jerry Lawler, I'm going to bet Tammy Fitch did it 1,000,000 times better than Lawler could. Especially
Right.
Fitch is also that prissy little northern girl telling you how to do your nails and wash with soap. And Lawler's another guy from Tennessee.
Right, but he still tries to generate heat by saying, we're going to teach you how we do things in Memphis with class. Like, okay, I don't know if there's enough of a rivalry between Knoxville and Memphis to really go there, but yeah, it's not the first person we've heard cut that promo saying that Memphis is better than Knoxville, so I guess we're going to beat that drum until there's nothing left of it.
Indeed. So I like that he pointed out that the title belt has a crown on it. You know, we mentioned that earlier, but yeah, he is the champion, and I guess I was going to say, I guess Landell's his challenger, but he's not. And Landell
No,
cuts a promo. We're going to go ahead.
No, I was going to say Landell is pissed off because he thinks Lawler owes him something. But you've got the footage, so let's roll that beautiful bean footage.
Let's roll that beautiful bean footage.
it doesn't seem to be in the cards for you to have a title shot at this point in time, because on the 25th, Jerry Lawler, the new Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Champion, is going to defend that title against the Dirty White Boy in a return. And no matter who wins there, on the 26th, they come back. Again, the title is on the line, but this time, the winner of the match meets Nature Boy Buddy Landell.
And it doesn't really matter who wins that match. They just go ring around the rosy, except Buddy Landell is excluded. It's like the Jerry Reed's country and western song. They get the gold mine and I'm getting the shaft as usual. But I got a few tricks up my sleeve, and I'm one ticked off individual. I'm an unhappy camper. And let me explain something to you. Jerry Lawler, I helped you. The only reason that you're the champion right now is because I helped you. The only reason the white boy ain't the champion is because I caused it. I caused things to happen around here, and things are going to happen. You understand what I'm saying, Les Thatcher? I'm a ticked off individual.
I don't care when it is, but I'm going to cause things to happen because I'm the straw that stirs the drink in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And I'm telling you what, until I become the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Champion, I'm going to make everybody's life miserable around here, including yours. You got that straight, Jack?
And stir it, I'm sure he will.
That's what I said.
Fans will be back for the final.
So I'm really confused here. I'm really fucking confused. Why is Buddy so mad? He's getting his title shot after the other two have to wrestle each other twice. And it's like, Cornette, like, and we'll get to it, he's sort of ideas at this point, it feels like. We're getting multiple people having to wrestle multiple matches. Like, we're used to it. They always do the Battle Royal on all the house shows. But it's like now, like, the Gangstas are wrestling twice. We'll get to it in a second. They're wrestling twice at Sunday Bloody Sunday. And now, whoever wins the second White Boy Jerry Lawler match has to have a second match on the same night with Landell.
I think the other problem is the talent pool isn't that deep where they can keep pulling out new contenders, new matches, new formats, because most of the people that they would like to have are going to be somewhere else or are soon to be somewhere else.
Why wouldn't you just do a three-way?
It's a good question, but again, there are no reasonable answers for that.
Yeah. Like, I know what they end up doing, and in that way, I guess it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, it's really weird advertising,
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, just to cut ahead, I mentioned the Gangstas wrestling twice because, when Les is running down the card for not for Super Saturday Night Fever, for Sunday Bloody Sunday, he mentions that, the Gangstas are in a 6-man tag with D'Lo against, the Heavenly Bodies of Jim Cornette. And then he mentions they're also going to wrestle the New Southern Boys on the same show. It's like, why are the heels going to be at a disadvantage? Like, I know that they're assholes. Everyone wants them to get their asses kicked. But it's like, it's kind of reverse wrestling psychology for the heels to be at the disadvantage and to fight from underneath.
Right. If it was anywhere other than Smoky Mountain, they'd be the baby faces for having to overcome such Herculean odds.
Yes. And then whoever does the graphics needs to be fired because the graphics said that Chris Candido versus Boo Bradley is a looser eats dog food match. How do they determine which one of them is looser?
I guess the same way you determine it after eating Taylor Farms lettuce, whichever one's stools are looser.
Ah, okay. I know we were need a proctologist or something for the match.
Well, they did already talk about eating dog food, so I can't imagine it would do nice things to your bowels.
No. So 158 down, 42 to go. This show had its moments. But if I were to give it, a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, I'd give it a thumbs in the middle.
I just felt like at the end of it, I wanted to see the entire Super Saturday Night Fever and not the cut down highlights interspersed with interviews. And I love Les Thatcher. I'm unapologetically a fan of his and consider him a great man. But I just wanted to see the whole show and not these mismatched clips out of order.
I mean, we basically got the entire show. I mean, we didn't get the whole matches, but we got the whole show, I believe. So we didn't get D'Lo versus Brian Logan, Boo Bradley versus Chris Candido, or Ricky Morton versus Unabomb. But like everything else, we at least got, the finishes of.
Right. So that's why I'm saying maybe this wasn't even meant to be a TV show, but they had to fill the slot, so they used the footage they had.
Oh. So we still got one more episode from Sevierville, Tennessee next week, and that'll wrap up the January 2nd tapings. But before we go, we'd like to tell you what else is happening in the world of wrestling, because, I can tell you February 4th, 1995, until I'm blue in the face, but this gives you some, conjecture as to what else is happening. So WCW held...
Well, are you blue in the face now?
WCW held their quarterly Disney tapings, and in true WCW manner, they taped stuff out of order, which confused fans. So during a tag team match they had against Marcus Bagwell and the Patriot, the Butcher, aka Brutus Beefcake, accidentally caused Kevin Sullivan to be pinned. Then later in the same day, they taped a grudge match where the Butcher changes his name to the Man with No Name. And then the next day, they taped a tag team match, which will air before anything that we just talked about, with Hogan and Savage beating Avalanche and the Butcher. So hopefully it makes
Yeah,
sense to somebody out there.
that's not confusing at all.
Yeah. So remember last week when I made sure to mention Jerry Blackwell having passed away?
Yes.
There's a reason for that. So Mean Gene Okerlund won the Scumbag of the Year award for his sleazy WCW hotline plug this week, where he said he'd talk about the death of a recently retired 45-year-old former world champion. And the way he phrased that was so people would think he's talking about Flair. Because remember, it's 1995. We don't have the internet to know that Ric Flair is still alive and well, and Jerry Blackwell died. And apparently they set a one-day record on the hotline for the most amount of business they did up to this point.
By completely lying to everyone.
By misleading everyone.
Lying.
Yeah. So Chris Candido, we mentioned, is the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. He was scheduled to lose. He was scheduled to lose the NWA World Title this week to Dan Severn at a show in Shenandoah, Pennsylvania, which is 10 miles from where I grew up in Girardville, Pennsylvania. And I'm 99.9% sure that I would have been at that show, except the show was canceled due to a snowstorm. And the funny thing about that is I think back to it, I have never seen an NWA World Title match in person. So that would have been the first one I ever saw, the only one I ever saw, and I would have had a title change. But the stupid snow,
Damn snow.
Yeah. So Candido is scheduled to start with the WWF on March 1st, so he needs to lose that belt soon.
That he does.
Yeah. All right. So that is going to do it here for Smoky Mountain. The Smoky Mountain Rewatch Along project for this week. Stevie, you excited for the next one? You excited for the build now to Sunday Bloody Sunday 2 and Brawl in the Hall?
Yeah, if they can figure out how to make it all make sense on television, I'm excited for it. But even if it doesn't, I'm happy to be here with you.
There we go. Well, that's going to do it for this week. I want to thank everyone for listening. Hope you all enjoyed the show, and we'll talk to you again in 7 days.